Hello everyone and welcome back to ISCT TV. I'm joined here by Dr. Tony Lee, the Global President of MetaPost based in Korea, and our current APAC Industry Committee co-chair. Thank you very much for being here, Tony.
Thanks for having me.
So we wanted to have you here today so that you could tell us a little bit about how the APAC Committee came to be, what its mission is, and what your role is in it.
That's great, yeah. So ISCT's APAC Committee has really been established by the Industry Committee of leadership between ISCT Asia and also ISCT Australia and New Zealand, regional executive committee members. But the APAC as a whole region has been established to really provide more access and information source to the other members of ISCT globally.
Absolutely.
And I think there has been a growing interest in terms of commercializing cell therapy, gene therapy products and technologies looking into Asia market. There is a lot of activities coming from Asia that now surpasses that of Europe in terms of number of developers, number of clinical trials. And there has been a really big demand from European and North American audience to learn more about the APAC and how it's doing its business and activities, right? So one of the first initiatives that the APAC Industry Committee has been embarking on is really to help outside audience and some members even within APAC region to help them understand more on the regulatory landscape in this particular region, which is made up by many different countries. So the APAC Industry Committee first initiative of that regulatory roadmap or landscape initiative is really to look at the regulatory landscape in 3 countries, that is Japan, Singapore and South Korea. And that first phase of that regulatory roadmap initiative has been recently completed and published in the Cytotherapy, which is ISCT's official journal.
Wonderful.
And so I encourage a lot of people to actually go to that article and read about it. And as a next phase, we are actually working on right now to do the same regulatory roadmap initiative targeting countries of India, China and Taiwan as a second phase, and then we'll move on to Australia, New Zealand and more of the other countries as a third phase. And I think that is a really good initiative. And then also at this conference we are having doing business in Asia symposium, like a forum which end of today, that really gives an opportunity for people to have a dialogue with experts from those 3 countries that we've just published. That'll be again Japan, it's from Singapore and South Korea. And also next year in 2026 we'll have inaugural ISCT Asia meeting in Singapore in September. So I encourage everybody to look up for that and welcome to Asia, and then have a great opportunity to learn and mingle with players in APAC region in general.
So. I think we're all very excited to see sort of the explosion of cell and gene therapy and ISCT's sort of reinstated commitment to it. And I think both the APAC Committee and your efforts, it's really a testament to sort of the resilience of the region and how important it is. And I was wondering, sort of in developing this regulatory roadmap, what are the considerations, and how do you group these countries together, and what does that all look like? Because everybody has a very sort of different regulatory perspective.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that we're trying to really focus at a very high level, give a snapshot of each of these countries have in terms of the overall regulatory framework. One that really stood out by doing that is, for example, from countries like Japan and recently South Korea, and also to some extent in Singapore, they all have this dual pathway track for cell therapy regulation. So as you know, the likes of FDA, the pharmaceutical biological product, BLA track, that obviously exists in Japan, South Korea and Singapore, but alongside with it is the Act for Safety of Regenerative Medicine in Japan, and a very advanced cell therapy and Regenerative Medicine Act recently passed legislation in Korea. Those tracks allow patients accessing technologies and cell therapy protocols and procedures in a shorter cycle, if you like. So they regulate medical institutions where they can actually really apply those cell therapy technologies to the patients in a in a shorter fashion, rather than going and waiting for the full cycle of the BLA, for instance. So those things were somewhat unique and different to the US market, for example.
Right.
And again, we're looking into, there are a lot of similarities and commonalities between those countries within the Asian region. And some differences, but those are kind of highlighted in our publication series.
Amazing.
So the official title of it is Pursuing Cell Therapy Approvals in APAC, your guide to navigating regulations in Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. As I mentioned, this has just been recently published, firstly online at Cytotherapy. So I encourage you to, click onto that and take a look if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in general, people should be tuning into cytotherapy. But Kim, is there a timeline for sort of the next 2 publications? Do you have an idea of when we can expect?
Good point. Yeah. So the second phase, we would like to do it towards the end of the year,
Sure.
This year, and then the third phase probably next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's coming out quickly.
Yes, because as you know, these regulatory landscapes in these major countries in the APAC region have been actually established for some time.
Right.
And that's really what's been leading up to the recent activity increase in development in APAC region. As I mentioned, the number of developers and the number of clinical trials now surpasses that of the European Union region. So it really has been there for some time. It's just that outside APAC audience were really not familiar with it or didn't have a really opportunity to become aware of that. So I think, again, this initiative to really publicize that is going to be quite impactful for our global audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited to read it. I think a lot of our audience will be. So thank you very much for the initiatives that you have with this committee. Thank you for being here with us today.
Sure.
We've been very fortunate to have you on.
Sure.
So and thank you everybody for tuning in for this segment. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thanks,
that was
Maria.
wonderful.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.